And now, saving the most special for the finale, we have with us a leader who has been the guiding force behind Mechi Eye Hospital, the proud host of NOSCON 2025, a man whose dedication, humility, and leadership have shaped Mechi Eye Hospital into one of the most respected centers of excellence, not only in Western Nepal, but around the globe. He currently serves as the president of the Nepal Ophthalmic Society and is a recipient of the SAU Excellence Award 2022. It is my deepest honor to welcome our own very medical director, Dr. Purushottam Joshi, to deliver the final plenary address.
My respected teachers and my VC of NAMS, the General Secretary of Nepal Medical Association, and my dear colleagues, namaste and good evening. Now I'm starting not the clinical subject we had previously, it's about the medical, legal and ethical issues in ophthalmology. So we ophthalmologists come across the legal cases or in court in three ways: as a third party expert, and in cases where we are expert in civil matters or criminal matters like accidental trauma, trauma by assault, trauma while working, and the point of the Consumer Protection Act, and the legal proceedings against ourselves, the ophthalmologists. So the one rule of law is ignorantia juris non exuset, which means that the ignorance of law is not an excuse. We must have seen the interview of our NMA General Secretary Sanjeev Tiwari Darsab, who is here, with the lawyer in Sidha Kura and other TV programs where the lawyers fought us so vigorously. So ophthalmologists and their team members, including optometrists, OAs, eye health workers, are regulated by various ethical guidelines and statutes and legislations, and we should be knowing all these. And these are applicable to the practice of ophthalmology as well. So when the patient is unsatisfied for any reasons, he can go to three places and claim medical negligence. It's a case of triple jeopardy for us. He can go to the criminal court, Muluki Ain. He can go to Nepal Medical Council, Act in 2020 and 2024, Bikram Sambat, and Consumer Protection Act, the latest one from 2075. And the Medical Negligence Act offense under National Penal Code Act 2017 is section 231. We can get imprisonment up to 3 years and fine up to 30,000. Section 234, if there is death of a patient, life imprisonment, grievous hurt, up to 15 years imprisonment. And section 231.1, 231.2, 32.2, and these are all the sections of the National Penal Code, which we can be penalized against if proven of medical negligence. So in Nepal Medical Council Act also, we could be penalized. Our license may be revoked for a certain period or suspended if we do misdiagnosis, delayed diagnosis, surgical errors, medication errors, failure to obtain the informed consent, negligent post-operative care, anesthesia errors, and lack of proper medical attention in emergencies. And now the most hue and cry is about the recent one, the Consumer Court, which came into operation from March 15, 2025 under the Consumer Protection Act 2018. And it has already slapped the medical professions with more than 3 crores of penalty. And how the legal procedure is: step one, from the patient side. Step one is filing the complaint. Step two is investigation in it. Step three is the prosecution on trial. Step four is judgment. If no negligence, we are okay. If medical negligence, we go to step 5, appeal within 30 days to the High Court. If they are okay, very good. If we lose, then the final one is the Supreme Court. This is the hierarchy of our legal procedure here. So elements required to prove the medical negligence is there must be a doctor-patient relationship. The doctor must have breached the duty of care, the minimum standard. The breach must directly harm or cause injury to the patient, and the patient must have suffered because of this harm either physical, emotional, or financial trauma. So what would be our defense against those negligent cases? We can say patient's contributory negligence, like he was not putting medicine as advised, and the final result is unavoidable complication, or we can say novus actus interveniens, like it was an unforeseeable independent event that broke the chain of causation between the initial cause and the final effect. And we can also say that as a life-saving condition in an emergency situation, we act as on a good Samaritan way. Or we can have a res indicata or res judicata, where it was previously decided that this is not a crime, like in Nepali, Nazir, pailako Nazir bhayo bhane pani bachyo हामी. And another is voluntary non-fit injuria. This patient voluntarily accepted the risks, like it's the informed consent. Okay, so what are the things that we can do to protect ourselves? So we must have the informed consent for medical and surgical procedures. We should have good documentation of each and everything, and we should be ethical, like there should be no misrepresentation of service and charges, no altering of medical records, and ophthalmologist's economic interest, including clinical judgment and practice, should be disclosed. If any other conflict of interest must be disclosed. So even with our best of the efforts, if we lose, then starts our emotional response to the litigation. First one is the stage of acceptance, like first is the shock, second is denial, third anger, like the GABDA, fourth bargain, fifth depression, and sixth acceptance. Some may stop in fifth, will always be depressed, can't go forward. Some may be in fourth, bargaining, but we should always go for the stage of recovery. Maybe after acceptance, we would see the chaos and our accidental response, our own intrusive reflections, our integrity is lost because of this. There is rumors. We must work hard to restore our personal integrity and endure the inquisitions of the court and obtain the emotional first aid. I'm very lucky in that way because my wife is psychiatrist. So emotional first aid I have a lot. And then we should move on. And then even with the best of effort and utmost effort, and if we go all these cases and we lose again in the Supreme Court, then what to do? We must compensate. And then we go through another emotional cycle, and to control and to minimize all these risks, we should and must have indemnity insurance. And that compensates for an insured party certain damages or losses, usually to the amount of loss. And it is the protection from the risk of paying the liable amount after found guilty or negligent. So one should, we medical professions know this very much. All the other lawyers and all the other citizens should also know. It is not possible to ensure that every treatment done by a doctor is successful. If it had been so, अस्पतालमा छ अस्पतालको गएको मान्छे कोही पनि मर्दैन थियो सबै अजम्बरी र अमर हुन्थे. So we must know that the real fact, मृत्युस्य ध्रुव सत्य, that death is the ultimate thing, so we cannot prevent it. Medical care is fraught with life and death, and in our case loss of sight and even death also. And it is not like selling and buying consumer goods, because there are a lot of idiosyncrasies and inherent conditions like latent conditions, quality of medication, patient compliance. And after these consumer court hearings, we will try to protect ourselves, and this would be doing endless costly investigations for simple fevers, admitting patients in the hospital for simple injuries, Rather than clinical examination, we would focus more on documentation, documentation, and documentation. The harsh reality would be the cost to the patient with more. So Nepal is at crossroads with the verdict of the Consumer Protection Court. Many have praised the establishment of the Consumer Court to rule on the claims of the medical malpractice, but fear defensive medical practice with the possible flight of the healthcare professional. If it is so, many would opt to better leave the country rather than serve here under the fear. So we have our General Secretary of Nepal Medical Association who has been fighting for this, and we'd like to say that we are with them in this fight for our justice for all the medical fraternity. Another thing, like how to prevent this? We must have the informed consent, and it must be the informed consent with real choice, and it should include all these fundamental things required for the informed consent, including the complications and any other alternative, if it is an off-label drug or a biosimilar, everything that is to be included in the informed consent, so that later on no one can point at us or sue us. Like this is the consent form of Mechi Eye Hospital. It is a blanket consent form. It is written that if anything happens to the patient during surgery or treatment, the hospital is not liable. But this is not enough. We need to change it. And this is one of the consent form that I presented during NVRS session. This is for the bevacizumab. Like it is to be in English, and it should be in Nepali also, like this. And if it is an off-label drug, we should mention it as an off-label drug. It is not FDA approved. The drug is actually used for colonic cancer, but we are using in eye. It is to be clearly written. And these are the list of off-label drugs we are using, like Avastin, infliximab, and a whole lot of mitomycin C, 5-fluorouracil. These are all off-label drugs. So if we have not informed the patient of this, we might get sued. And we should tell this in English as well as in Nepali, and we should include, like in cataract surgery, endophthalmitis also, like it might happen. So we should get our patient signed. And another thing is we should keep our hospital workplace also clean. Like there is one broken window theory. If a people sees like this, hospital's condition is like this, they are more excited to break more windows, and this is called broken window theory. So we need to keep our workplace clean and quiet. Like mainly this is for the general hospitals where the conditions are usually like this. And now briefly on to the ophthalmologists, what legal problems we are facing. Like there is employment contract. In employment contract in many hospitals, we have to pay 3 months salary back if we do not fulfill our regular contract. It's not a bond contract, it's a regular contract. And in bond contract, we have MD bond and fellowship bond, and in the same way. And in government bonds, there is placement issues. Doctors are placed where there is not even a torchlight for the patient, for a slit lamp to examine the patient. We only have torchlight and other issues, and no other instruments. And my request to my colleagues, because all the hospitals, there are medical directors, they are in the governing positions. If they can say that if anything in our contract contradicts the rule of Nepal, then we should not do that. Like this employment contract and paying back 3 months salary. I urge all my ophthalmologists, especially the senior ophthalmologists who are in the position to change this, that if we go in the court of law, we cannot prove it. So it becomes void ab initio, void from the outset, as if the contract was not done. So I request senior ophthalmologists, my colleagues, to carry out the contracts which is in accordance with the Nepalese law, because we already have a legal advisor, and we will be doing everything to ensure that every contract is within the Nepal's law. And also that was about ophthalmologist, and also about ophthalmologists where we work. Like this is one eye hospital in highway in Birtamod. This is Birtamod Eye Hospital, and there is another one new hospital here. You see, yes or not? Yes. And this is Mechi Eye Hospital. There is another new hospital here and here. This one was older hospital that was established before the introduction of 1 kilometer law, and this one was newly established between the two. So there also these things are to be also sorted out, because like some hospitals in their nameplate it is like this. It is Mechi, there is something other, and then eye hospital. If one looks, it is Mechi Eye Hospital. And in their bus, it is written like this, Mechi Eye Hospital. But there is something in between. So, it is sort of deception also. Sort of deception. So, we should, and if you could read or not, this is another eye hospital whose website is www.mechieyehospital.com. And you know that it is, the imitation is the highest form of respect, regard. So we think it's the highest form of regard for us from our colleagues, like this and this. And what this would always lead to is, we must have gone through Peda Bazaar in Burma, you know. And what one is like that, Asali Peda Bazaar, Asali Budo ko Peda Bazaar. Another, someday it will be like that in anywhere, maybe Jhapa, anywhere. So we have a noble profession of serving the people, and we should be ethical and moral also in doing that. And then lastly, we have our ethics, which is driven by our religion, beliefs, and we have our law. Above law and ethics, we must have our conscience to know what is right and what is wrong. If we do not have good conscience, we will be nowhere. Our profession will lose. Because if this kind of thing happen, all the patients who are coming from, like Dr. Sandhu Ruiz said, the exodus from the neighboring country, it will finish off. So to safeguard us also, we should be doing, our decisions must be legally sound, morally just, and beneficial to the patient. And on top of that, there's another thing also. There is ad in the website, if you go through it. If damage caused by doctor's negligence, we can do it this and that. Okay? And what they want to do is, do like this. Okay, so we must be very careful. And we should act very wisely. There is triple jeopardy, as already described. We may be incarcerated 3 times, later in High Court 4 times, Supreme Court 5th time again. But we should always have the courage to strike back. 3 strikes, still not out, and going on. So in summary, ignorantia juris nos existat. So we must know the law, and our saviors are informed consent, documentation, and work towards indemnity insurance and ethical, moral, and legal practice from all of us. Thank you very much. And I would like to welcome you in November 12 to 14 in 2026 in Kathmandu. There is going to be another, our other annual conference will be in Kathmandu, and it will be in conjunction with 9th Asia Pacific Ophthalmic Trauma Society meeting, APOTS. So, and we are trying to make this in collaboration with NESOS, also Nepal Oculoplastic Society, and we'd like to see you all there. And one last, though the time has finished, we have President of Vitreoretina Society, Dr. Sanyam Bajima here, President of Nepal Oculoplastic Society, Dr. Ilya is here, and General Secretary of Nepal Glaucoma Society, Daki Didi is here, President of Pediatric Society, Sabina Didi is here. Let's pledge and let's plan to make at least 3 informed consents in Nepali as well as English. We, Nepal Ophthalmic Society, will help in whatever we can. If we make three from 5 of us, there will be 15 informed consents. We can work in that way, and let's do it, and let's save ourselves from all the pain of this. Thank you very much. Namaste.